Hi guys and girls, I'm Obsidian Ant and welcome to my series of tutorials for new players of Elite Dangerous. Now, Elite is a pretty big game, so I've broken this series down into a number of different videos. The initial video here is the longest one, but it will teach you everything you need to know to get you from your first ship into an upgraded, more powerful one, and it will give you a number of tips and tricks along the way. Now, this video may not follow the format of other tutorials you've seen for Elite Dangerous, but that's because this is an essential playthrough, allowing you to follow it closely, step by step. As you can see in the background, Elite Dangerous is an extremely beautiful game, and before you know it, you're going to be out there in these locations playing for yourself in some of the most powerful ships you can get. So without any further delay, let's get right into it. If you find certain parts of this video don't interest you, especially those near the start, do check out the video description. There's some time links there allowing you to skip ahead to areas you might find a bit more interesting. Let's check out the game's menus. Here you've got the things you'd normally expect, but there's one or two things you should pay close attention to. So there's graphics, audio and controls, but there's also a clear save here. Now this will delete your character, your commander. If you delete this, there's no going back, you can't get it back. Some people have had luck getting it back if they contact Frontier support, but it's something you really don't want to do. Now this save isn't stored on your computer locally, it's stored on the game's servers. So it's something you need to make sure you don't click unless you're really certain you want to do it. But if you do click on it, you do get a confirmation warning. But no, I don't want to do that. So just to get past that, then we've got a training menu here. So these are not brilliant training missions, but they do cover the basics. They will get you going. We've got some target practice and basic combat. Generally some basic things just to get you flying your ship and shooting, although they don't really talk you through the controls or anything like that particularly well. But the two you really should concentrate on are the launch and docking. They will be essential things you need to learn to play the game. If you can't dock, you're going to be in a bit of a pickle. And travel as well, which help you travel from system to system. And then we've got friends and private groups. This is where you can add other players and you can also join groups. Now there is a group called the Mobius group. Mobius. I'm not sure if I need to get acceptance there for that. Waiting for a response. So we're going to join a Mobius here. Request to join. Now these are a PvE group. It's a group that's got 12,000 people in it, and there will be no PvP on that group. If anyone does get involved in PvP or non-consensual PvP outside of their defined rules, which I'll link in the video description below, the link to their group page, they will get banned from the group if they get involved in non-consensual PvP. So if you're really interested in PvE, you want a bit of a peaceful game, then that's the group to join. And at some point someone should hopefully accept that request, and like I say, you can join friends out or block other players here. Now if we get to the start menu, we've got open play, which now all of these are online. These are all online modes before I do get started there, but we've got open play, which is where you'll play with other players. We've got private group, that's red at the moment because I'm not a part of another private group, but when I get accepted hopefully into the Mobius group, then I will be able to join the play there. Now just quickly go back here into the friends and private groups. You can also create your own group if you want, and other people will be able to join that, your friends or whoever you want to join. And then we've got solo play. Now solo play it's still online, but you'll be playing on your own. It's all private instances, so no one else will be able, you won't be able to see any other players, and no one else will be able to see you. CQC Championships is basically PvP arena combat, and we can have a look at that in another video. But I'm going to join now. I'm going to jump in on well, let's have a look at open play. Right, this is where you find yourself when you first log into the game. This is inside a station hangar, and we're inside our ship here, which is a Sidewinder. Now one thing you may notice straight away is that my HUD, the UI here, is actually blue, a different colour to the default orange. I've got another video telling you or showing you how you can change that if you're playing on PC or Mac. Have a look in the video description below, and there will be a link to that showing you what to do. So what we've got here is the starport services. We can select this by using the D-pad if you're on a Xbox pad, and you can select it using the direction keys if you're using a joystick. So you've got starport, return to service, which will take you up to the top of the station here, or launch, which can actually take you up to the surface of the station and then deploy, launch your ship from the dock. So on starport services here, if we select that, we can have a look here. Now this activates the mouse once you're in here, so you can use the mouse if you want to. We've got home, which brings us back to this main screen. We're already on here. And we've got repairs menu, which will just repair the ship, as I was just mentioning. We can see everything's still at 100% health there, and this is a unit cost to repair each parts of these. We got the ship integrity as well, which we'll talk about in a bit later on. A bulletin board where you can get submissions from. Now if you're just starting out, this may be the first thing you want to do. You might want to pick up a mission. Now that's not how I start out. I'll show you how I always start out in a moment, but you can do these. We can select a mission here and it tells you what the mission's all about. Now it tells you it's in the system Chamunda. We can have a look where that is in a moment. They're associated with LHS 3447. That's the system we're currently in. The cargo's some commercial samples. It's only 1 ton of them, and these are the rank requirements and relationship requirements to accept the mission, and that's the reward we're going to get, 11,000 credits. Over here we can see we're already starting with 1,000 credits. So if we want to have that mission, or we're interested in it, where's Chamunda, we might be thinking. We can click on Open Galaxy Map, and here it's already highlighted where we want to go. That's Chamunda there. Now you can use the mouse wheel up and down there to zoom in. The galaxy map is pretty large. Here we are with an arrow marking our current location. Hold down both mouse buttons and drag the mouse to navigate around the map. LHS 3447 is our current location. If we bring the mouse over the top of that, we can click on the little icon here. That brings up the system map, the local system. As we can see here, starting system map for LHS 3447. So the same controls apply here. Mouse wheel up, mouse wheel down to zoom in and out. The equivalent keys if you're using a joypad. And you can use the direction stick to move around here, or again both mouse buttons to move around. And we can see all the planets that are in the system here. Some interesting Earth-like world there. I'll give you some information here. It's an outdoor world with human breathable atmosphere and indigenous life. The atmosphere is far from chemical equilibrium. As a result, this world has been terraformed, and it gives all the statistics here for the world. And now this information is generated from the game's part of the game's engine called the Stellar Forge, which is responsible for creating the entire galaxy. And it's also going to be responsible for all the geological formation of these planets, which you can see if you land on them, if you've got the Horizons expansion. And if we click here, we can see some of the space stations. Here's Dalton Gateway. Dalton Gateway is a very busy station, and it's a lot larger than the outpost we're currently on. Now in a minute I'll show you how to fly over to another station. You can fly pretty much anywhere you want within a single system. And over here we've got the outpost we're currently docked at. Now these icons represent outposts. They're a lot smaller than these, which are stations. These square ones and these round ones are stations. They're a lot larger than these outposts. Now we can click back and go to the back to the galaxy map here, and I'll just show you a little bit more here. If we keep zooming out, we get to see the entirety of the galaxy. 400 billion systems, and probably a trillion or more different planets we can go to. You can actually zoom in on any location here. If we zoom in here on the galactic core, the centre of the galaxy, you can see how densely packed it is with all these millions and millions of stars, and all of these are systems. All of them are visitable, and a lot of them will have planets on. Press the home key on PC to take you back to your home location, your current location. And again, if we zoom out, these would be the sort of things you might want to go if you want to get interested in exploring. You can see here it says Coldsack. That's a nebula, pretty dark one, but quite nice to go and visit. And over there it's another nebula. Look, Barnard's Loop. This is one of the best looking areas in the game. You'll be able to see that if you check out some of my other videos. It's got a load of other different nebula in there. And there's the Horsehead Nebula right there, look. Lovely little looking area to visit. And all these systems around there. But for now, we're going to get back to the home system here and get on with it. So if you did want to do that mission, which is in Chamunda, which has actually disappeared now, so we can just exit back out of that and open the galaxy map again. We can have a look. Ah, look, that shows us there. We've got the system map. That may not be available. It's not always available. And some of them isn't available. Like here, LHS 3479. We've got no system map. Now, on the occasion, if you're docked, sometimes you can purchase the system map. It's now available. Other times you can't purchase a system map, and that's where exploration comes in. You can go out and uncover that map for yourself. And I'll show you how we do that in a little while. But here we go. Here's the other system here. You can see that's quite different from the system we're in. And there's some stations here. Keep in mind that not all systems have stations. So we could, if we want to go to Chamunda here, we'd plot a route. We'd click on there. That would plot a route. Once we've set that, you will see here. I'm not going to accept that mission, but you could have accepted that mission if you want. And you'll usually get a time frame for it, 13 hours. That's real hours. That counts down even if you're not logged in. And these are available but unobtainable missions. Missions that you can get, but you might not reach the requirements for them just yet. As there, we need a requirement, a rank of scout. So, if we look at the left panel here, I believe you hold down the red button on a joypad and push left on the D-pad. I think that's the key. Or if you're on a computer, it's press 1. You can look here. And this is a list of all the planets within the system you're in. This may look a little bit different on patch 1.5. I'm on patch 1.4 here, so if you're looking at this later on and you've got patch 1.5, it may look very slightly different. I believe there should be some filters there you can use. But as we scroll down, you can see there's some different systems here which we can jump to. If we go to the bottom, you can see that there's Chamunda, the one that I selected at the galaxy map, and I'll show you how we can jump to other systems in a minute. For now though, I'm going to select Frigga because that's the location I want to go to in a minute. We can also select locations manually from here if we want. And you can see there's the jump distance, 6.6 light years to Frigga. And this one here, excess mass, that's actually beyond our ship's jump range capabilities. Our ships can only jump a certain range. Now if you look at the other screen here on the right, you can use the red button and the D-pad to look here, or the numbers along the top of your keyboard to change between the various sides of the UI. If we go to functions, I believe, you can see the jump range here of my Sidewinder. Down there on the left is 7.5 light years. I'll get back to that screen again in a minute. So for now, we're still looking here. We've got the bulletin board, we've got contacts, and we'll be coming to this later if we want to claim some bounties for some ships we've destroyed, or if we've got some fines to pay. There's also some combat bonds here, which are from conflict zones. We'll have a look at that in another video, as well as black market, where you'll sell items that you've smuggled into the station. And again, I'll come back to that in another video. And what else have we got? We've got an outfit in here as well, and that lets you equip different modules to your ship. You can buy different weapons here if you've got the money to, which these are all darkened out. They'll probably be red on the default view if you've got the default colours. And we can apply internal modules here as well. This is something you don't need to worry about whilst you're getting started, so this is all just overview stuff. But now, if you want to get started and actually get on, make some money, like I say, there's two ways you can really do that right off the bat. One is to go to the bulletin board and take a mission. It's going to generate some new missions here. It's just talking with the server. So you can see the missions are slightly different, well, but it's still Chamunda. Or you can go and do some hunting, some bounty hunting. Bounty hunting is how I always start out with the games. So here we're going to go to Frigga. which is a system 6.6 light years away, and we're then going to launch. Now when we launch for the first time, we get the pre-flight checklist, and we just got to go through the controls here. Sometimes takes a few moments. I'm using a HOTAS here, which is a joystick. Hands off, throttle and stick is what HOTAS stands for. So I've got the throttle on the one hand and the stick on the other hand. And here we go, leaving the hangar and going out to the surface of the station here. Out into the depths of space. So when you leave, make sure your throttle's on 0. It should be by default. If you've got the throttle and stick, make sure you've zeroed it, otherwise you'll short either backwards and forwards and damage your ship. So to leave, you want to thrust up. And depend on how you've configured your keys there, you may want to go through some of the key bindings. And then we can just start throttling forward there. The star's a bit bright. Just going to give you a brief look here of the outpost if you've never seen one before. And there's a landing pad we just came from there. Okay, when you're in space, you're going to want to travel to your target destination, and there's a couple of bits of information that are relevant in order for you to do that. The first is the little circle you can see to the left of the radar. It's got a white dot in it, and the white dot moves around as you reorientate your ship. That represents your current locked target, which is currently locked to Frigga, as you remember we did when we were in the space station. You can see there Frigga is targeted in brackets there. So that is the system, that's the destination rather, that little white dot is indicating. And as we move our ship round, you can see the white dot comes towards the centre of the reticule there, and Frigga is now in front of us. But I don't want to travel to Frigga just yet, so we can unlock that destination. There are two ways of travelling in Elite at faster than light speed. One is Hyperspace, which jumps you to another system, which Frigga was. The other is Supercruise, which allows you to travel within the system, and that's what we're going to do now. And as we look at the location list here, we can see other bodies within the system. There's a planet there. Now you don't need to select a target in order to go into Supercruise, but it's just a way of ensuring that you're not targeting another system, so you don't automatically hyperjump by mistake. So we're just about to go into Supercruise here, and we will go at many times the speed of light potentially. The speed is indicated by the number there on the top right of the radar. Currently going at nearly 4,000 kilometers a second, 4 megameters a second. And that will keep increases until it gets to multiple times the speed of light. The speed of light in the game is represented by the C, letter C. You'll see that come up in a minute. But what we want to do is select a station we want to travel to. You can see the outpost icon as we saw on the system menu earlier, and you can also see the station icon there, Yapping Enterprises. We can select that here from the list. It's over there, slightly to the left. So if we keep that centered, we will slowly creep up on it. It's 130 odd light seconds away. That's 130 seconds at travelling at the speed of light. And if we just look at the system map, you can also select targets here. There is an outpost there, and there is Yapping Enterprises, which we want to actually travel towards. So you can see we're now travelling at 8 times the speed of light, and we need to slow down a bit. If we reduce the throttle down, you can see the speed indicator goes down, and there it changes between blue and white. There would be slightly different colours on the default layout, but it's important to keep the marker indicator there, just the location where it changes between being one colour and the next colour. That's to ensure don't go too fast and overshoot your target. If you keep max throttle here, your ship will just be pulled in by the gravity well and end up shooting right past the target location. So you need to keep the indicator just there at the location where it changes colour. Now you could probably go a little bit faster once you're used to this, and there are also a couple of other methods of approaching your target, but this is the easiest one, the one you're going to want to use while you're starting out. Now you can see the destination to the target there is approaching 20,000 megameters. We'll actually be able to drop out at Supercruise once it reaches 1,000 megameters. So we're nearly there then, and we can just press the Supercruise key and we will drop out near the station. If we drop out too early, we'll be too far away from the station, and if we leave it too late, we will overshoot our destination and arrive at just a random location further away. So here we are, we can just press the Supercruise key now and we'll drop out right where we want to drop out at. There's a little bit of a delay here, and that's just where the game is generating an instance or trying to find an instance. Even if you're in solo play, it will make its own instance. Here is one of the stations then. This is a Coriolis station, and a lot of new players find it difficult to find the entrance to it. So the way around that is to target the head, targeting the station itself, and you can see a little arrow icon appearing on the station hologram there. We then need to go into the contacts menu and request a docking permission. And there it will tell us what landing pad we need to go. So just follow the little arrow there on the hologram, which is around the other side of the station here, and we should come round and find the docking bay hatch there, the entrance to the station. It's a little bit intimidating perhaps on the first approach, because the docking hatch does seem a little bit small, but as you get closer you'll realise that it's more than large enough to allow your ship to get through, especially a ship the size of this one, which is actually quite small. So here you can see the docking bay hatch coming up. There's some colours there, some coloured lights at the front on the poles, the green lights and the red lights. Now it's by no means mandatory, but it's common etiquette to go in on the green side. Hopefully most other commanders, most other players will come out on the opposite side there, meaning we won't get anyone crash into us. That eagle there passed quite close, so we just used the lateral thrusters and the horizontal thrusters to get in, and we've got to head towards landing pad 13 there. Make sure you press your landing gear key to deploy the landing gear, otherwise you're not going to be able to touch down here. As we approach the landing pad, the radar changes to a landing pad HUD, heads up display, and we actually need to position our ship so that it changes colour there right over the centre of the landing reticule. Now, one common mistake a lot of people make, and I've made it myself, is to accidentally boost when you're inside the station. Your ship then thrusts very fast right to the rear of the station and smashes apart on the wall at the back. And one way of avoiding this is to come into the controls here and set the flight landing overrides. And what happens is here you can bind a whole different set of keys for when your landing gear is deployed. So what I recommend to do here is bind all the same keys for your manoeuvring, but just don't bind a thrust key. That way when you deploy your landing gears you can have all the same keys. You might want to actually bind some lateral thrusts as well, so you can position yourself a little bit better instead of the yaw. But just don't bind the boost, and then you won't accidentally boost when your landing gear is deployed. So now what we're going to do is jump to another system. I'm not going to resume our plotted route just yet. We can actually jump to a different system if we want, and I'm going to go to Frigga as we had targeted earlier. I'm just going to target it again there. We can then launch and head off to that system. Launching from one of these stations is a bit different from launching from an outpost, because you've still got to get out of the docking hatch up there. So just make sure you don't go too fast and you should be alright. Like I say, the hatch is larger than it actually looks. And once you've done it a few times, you'll be zipping through it like a pro. Now there is a speeding warning here. I'm speeding at the moment. If I do smash into anything, I will get a fine for it. If I destroy a ship by smashing into it, I will be had up for murder and the station will shoot at me. So do keep that in mind. The speed limit is 100 meters a second. So if you don't want to speed, keep below that. So now we're out here. We align ourselves to the target system, and we can then select the hyperdrive key. But we've got to get out of the mass lock range of the station. Any large objects inhibit our jump drive. We can see that down there on the bottom right. There was a little white light by the mass lock icon. That's now switched off, and we can actually jump. Now this hyperspace jump will take us to a completely different star system. When we come out of warp, we will find ourselves right by that system's sun. And you're going to have to be careful, because if you've still got your ship on full throttle, you'll start accelerating towards the sun and then crash into it, where you'll get somewhat damaged. So here you can either zero your throttle, or just in the instant you're out of warp, just reposition your ship. Now this is a very busy system. There's a lot of NPCs here and a lot of players. You can see the difference between them, because the NPCs are a solid marker on your radar and the players are hollow icons. But what else is in this system? Let's bring up the system map and take a look. Well, we can see the stations. You can always see a station when you enter a new system if there's a station there, but we can't see any planets. So that's because our computer hasn't got any data for this system. What we can do though is go to our fire groups, go to our discovery scanner here and enable it. Put it on your second fire group, or second fire key. Just select it twice to do that. We can then press the secondary fire key here while we're flying, and that will send out a blast that discovers anything within a 500 light second radius of our ship. And if we bring up the system map again, we can see it's now filled in with some extra planets here. These are the ones within 500 light seconds, like I say, but if we keep scrolling along, we can see there's much more space within the map. There's a bunch of planets there that we haven't discovered. So what we could do is fly out further and use the basic discovery scanner blasting to find some more of them, or we could later upgrade to, there's two other types of discovery scanners. There's an intermediate one which will find anything within 1000, I think, or it might be 1500 light seconds, or then there's the advanced discovery scanner which will automatically find absolutely everything there's to find within a system. So this is the basic tenets of exploration. You can jump to a new system, scan what's there, and you'll then collect that information. If you've got a different type of scanner called a detailed surface scan, you can then approach the planet and do a more involved scan of it, which just basically involves you looking at this planet for about 30 seconds until your ship has done a detailed analysis of it, and you'll then get more valuable information for that particular planet. You'll need to do that on each of the planets in turn, and I'll do another video on exploration a bit later on. But for now, we've got a few of the planets located within this system. We've discovered them, we've got the data for them, and we can make money from that. We can actually dock at this station here and sell it. Now keep in mind and always remember, try not to go too fast when you're approaching your target, your destination. This is an outpost, so it's going to be a bit easier to dock at. Unlike these big stations which you have to get through the docking slot, on these you just land on the surface of them, so they're that much easier. But they are a lot smaller. They only have 3 docking pads, sometimes 4 or 5. But when you're in open play, you can have a bit of a problem. Sometimes you'll find you can't actually dock. So we need to get within 7,500 meters of the station and then try and dock. If we request the docking permission too early, you can see it actually gets denied like it did there, and the station tells us to try again once we're closer. But now we are closer and the station is still not allowing us to dock. Now the reason for that is because all the landing pads are full. Sometimes this happens when you're on solo play, when there's only NPCs about, and usually if you keep waiting, one of the NPCs will clear the landing pad and you'll be able to land. But as this is all players and it's a very busy time for the game, you might find that the players don't actually leave, and you could be here for a very long time indeed. Now there's a number of things you can do here. You can go away and come back later, or you can go to another station, or you can just sit here and wait. But I haven't really got the patience for any of those, so what I do, if this is happening on open play, a lot of people might not find this particularly favourable, but I usually log out and log in to solo mode where there's not going to be any other players, and the docking pads are invariably free, and we're going to do that right now. So what you'll see here is that your save is persistent across all modes of the game. If I log out in this location in open play and then log back in solo play, we will be in the same location, and we should be able to dock this time. So as the game loads up, it places us a little bit further away from the station, but we just need to fly up to it and then request docking permission again. So we've got our docking permission. It's told us to land on pad 2, and we can just whiz in here and do that. Now with experience you can come in this fast. If you're new and not too used to the ship, you might want to go a little bit slower, but just remember, deploy your landing gear, otherwise you're not going to be able to land. And again, the radar changes its shape there to the landing reticule, and you just need to position your ship correctly. So far then, you know that you can take bulletin board missions to make money, and also you can do exploration to make money. Exploration data you sell at Universal Cartographics, but unfortunately, because I'm trying to sell this data to the system I actually found it in, they don't want to buy it. They're telling me to travel at least 20 light years away to sell it. But you can see it's worth nearly 8,000 credits, so just one blast of the Discovery Scanner gives us nearly as much money as a single mission. So this is a good alternative to doing missions. But if you do want to do exploration, just make sure you don't run out of fuel. You can buy a fuel scoop which allows you to refuel in space, and again I'll get more involved in exploration in another video for you later on. So here we are back at the galaxy map again, and I'd actually mistakenly thought that Frigga had a resource extraction site within it, but it turns out it doesn't, so I'm going to look for another system where we can go and do a bit of bounty hunting. And the one there, Cremain, if memory serves correctly this time, I'm pretty sure it does indeed have what we're looking for. and you can see there we take multiple jumps to get there. We've got to go through Erevet, then Potriti, and then on to Cremain. That's because our jump drive is fairly limited. Right, so we are now going to Cremain, and we can see the next step, or the first step towards that journey, is through Erevet, and then after that we've got an additional 2 jump. Remember that each jump will have its own fuel requirements. You can see the fuel indicator down there on the bottom right hand side of the screen. The white section indicates how much fuel is going to be taken on this jump. Now there's 2 real good places for bounty hunting. One of them is in resource extraction sites. Those are areas where miners go, both NPCs and sometimes players, in order to mine the asteroids for metals and minerals. Their resource extraction sites are located in asteroid rings or ring systems around planets. The other good place for bounty hunting are nav beacons, and nav beacons are locations right near suns, near the jumping point, as you saw where we jumped right to a star just now. Sometimes some of those will have a nav beacon, and those are good places for bounty hunting as well. So here we are in Erevet then. Oh look, and there's a nav beacon. So if you want, we can always go and do some bounty hunting in the nav beacon, or we can go further on to Cremain and do some bounty hunting in the resource extraction sites. And I'm going to show you both, because that's just the kind of person I am. So to get here we need to target ahead to select the nav beacon. We can also select it from the list here at the side. Now you can hear the engines whirring up there. It sounds like I'm going too fast, and you just about saw the nav beacon go spinning by, and my acceleration there was way too fast. It actually picked up speed, so we need to come back round. You can see where the nav beacon is there on the little target reticle there on the left hand side, just above the radar. And here we are coming back towards the nav beacon again. Now, as you know, if you get too close towards the stars, your ship can overheat and then eventually get damaged. This nav beacon is just far enough away that that's not going to happen. Although we do look mighty close to the star there, don't we? So when we jump in, we're going to see hopefully a whole bunch of ships here. Now I am playing solo again, so we're only going to see NPC ships here, but if you were playing open, you'd see a lot of player ships here as well in a location like this. And there you can see all the contacts starting to appear on the HUD there, and indeed in front of me. And what we can do is you just target one of them there. That's an Asp, a fairly largish, more medium-sized ship. And down on the left you can see he's clean, so he's not wanted. We've got some bigger ships here. We can target that one there. James Sterling. Good name, eh? And he's also clean. Good old Jim. What about this one? Now this one was in a wing, so he's probably with old Jimmy boy there. That's the Asp again there. So what we're looking for is a ship that is wanted. If it's got a wanted status, then we can actively engage it. Now Viper is a good fighter ship, good class fighter ship. So we don't really want to engage one of them unless we have to, but it was clean anyway. And that's another Viper, which is also clean. So who are they attacking? Let's have a look. They're attacking that Asp, or a Asp. So sometimes the AI does have some problems. I'm just spinning there on the spot, but we're going to engage it anyway. I've deployed the weapons he's wanted. We're going to join in the fight. Now, when combat's involved, power management is very important. Down on the right hand side you can see your power distributors. That's the shields for systems, engines and weapons. You can manage these using the D-pad on a controller or the arrow keys on keyboard, simply pressing the relevant direction. In this case I want to put more energy into weapons. You can see that there on the bottom right. We've got system, engines and weapons. I've just put all my energy into weapons so I can actively attack this Asp. He's coming round, he's probably going to start shooting at me, at which point we may want to put some energy in shields. System hasn't got any energy in it at the moment, which means that if my shields go down they wouldn't be able to recharge, but my shields are full at the moment, so I've got no problem. And he's also concerned with the other 2 Vipers that are attacking him. Once your target's destroyed, you'll actually get a bounty payout from him. So 40,000 credits, quite a significant payout. When you compare that to one mission which was offering just 11,000 credits. So for me, bounty hunting was always the best way to start when getting into the game for the first time, or when you're starting a new character or a new save, because it's a very quick way of getting the initial boost of cash. I'm now going to head to one of the local stations and hand in those bounty vouchers so I can get the credits. So if we go to claim your bounties, you go to contacts, and you can see we're a local security office. We haven't got anything under combat bonds because we wasn't actually in a war or a conflict zone. We was actually claiming some bounties which are available here under the local security office, and we can redeem all the vouchers here. 42,000 credits, and you can see that's applied there. Now I actually want to go into outfitting. We'll refuel though. Go to outfitting, and we've got some weapons applied here. We can select them, and what we want are gimbaled pulse lasers. They're my preferred weapon. You can use multi-cannons there. Multi-cannons are kinetic weapons, they use bullets, but generally speaking, for the Sidewinder I prefer to use pulse lasers here. And we're going to fit 2 of them. Clicked on the wrong amount there. We want another pulse laser. Okay, now on the utility mounts, you saw this ship has actually got 2 utility mounts. These are piece of equipment that you can use to give you extra advantages. So we've got a heatsink launcher. A heatsink launcher you can use to cool your ship down if it's overheating. So if you're using weapons that just you keep firing and they overheat your ship, you can launch a heatsink to cool your ship down. If you get too close to a star and you start overheating and you're worried, you can deploy a heatsink. A chaff launcher is for when an enemy is targeting you. If they're targeting you with gimbaled weapons, you can launch some chaff and that will disrupt the ship's tracking and they won't be able to shoot at you. We're going to have some of that because it's very useful. And also you've got a shield booster. Shield booster will increase the power of your ship, and you can sort these by different methods here. You can sort them by pricing, by rating, and by name. I want to sort them by name, and we'll see what shield boosters we've got. So I haven't got enough credits for that, but I'm going to buy the shield booster here. Okay, now over here is something very important. We've got the amount of power being used by the ship. When the weapons are retracted, my ship's using 4.86 megawatts. Over here is how much power is available, 6.4 megawatts. When my weapons are deployed, it would be using 6.4 megawatts. So I'm within that tolerance. Some of these weapons can be too powerful and you can't do it. But you can increase the amount of power your ship has got by buying one of these. I haven't got the money to do it, but we've got a class 2 slot here. You can see here the size of the module is 2. That's class 2, that's the size. Here is the rating of the module, that's the quality of it. So we can only see size 2 modules here, that's all that can be fitted, but we can actually fit improved ones. We got E, which is worse than I currently got. No, actually E is one I have actually already got. I can buy a D if I want, which will give me 7.2 megawatts. You can see over there a C increases it more, went up to 9.6 megawatts with an A rated one, which is 160,000 credits. So that gives me more power. We've then got power distributor. That is the recharge rate of your ship. And remember the little capacitors that were down on the, let's show you. We've got some capacitors down here. These capacitors for your weapons, as you're shooting your weapons, these capacitors will drain. Now the distributor determines how fast these recharge at. So as long as you've got enough energy in your ship, one of the better things to buy for combat is an improved power distributor, because they will improve the rate at which your ship can recharge, allowing you to fire longer if you've got laser weapons. And they also recharge your shield quicker, I believe, although I'm not actually sure about that, so don't quote me on that. So I'm going to buy that, and it's not going to leave me with very much money at all. Now this is something you generally do not want to do, and there's a very specific reason for that. If you look on the right panel here, you can see down on the bottom left hand corner the rebuy cost of the ship. The rebuy cost is 1,989 credits, and my balance is 2,748 credits. So you need to always make sure that your balance is greater than the rebuy cost, because if it's not, then you will be back to a Sidewinder again without any equipment. So say I'd managed to buy myself a 2 million credit ship and I only had 1,000 credits in my balance, and the rebuy was 100,000 credits, because obviously the insurance covers that. The insurance is just a small percentage of what the actual total value of the ship is. But if I haven't got enough balance to cover the rebuy cost, then the insurance won't pay out. I can't buy the insurance policy to get the same ship back, and so basically you have to start right back at the beginning again in a Sidewinder. So always make sure you've got enough credits to cover the rebuy cost of your ship. And when you've bought some new weapons, you need to just make sure you go through here and apply them to a fire group. You do that by selecting there. I don't actually have these selected on the fire group because they're bound to a key on my HOTAS, but you may want to bind them to a fire group. That would be up to you, personal player preference. So what we're going to do now is carry on our way to Kremin, because I want to do some more bounty hunting, but this time in a resource extraction site. And we can continue on our journey here by scrolling down this list and looking for this little route icon. That will continue us on the plot journey, the route I plotted earlier. And we can see we've got to go to Pottery, and then there'll be one more jump after that which will take us to Kremin. So let's get going for that. So then, here at Kremin, the reason I come here is because from memory I know there is a resource extraction site here, and we can see that on the system map here. If I just start the system map, resource extraction sites are generally found in ring systems around planets. Now, usually gas giants have ring systems, but sometimes smaller planets like this one over here also have them. And over here you can see the ring type. It's metal rich and icy. Now if it's icy, you're not going to get a resource extraction site there, because icy rings can't be mined. Metal rich ones can be mined, as can rocky ones. That's metal rich. What we got here, and this one's rocky. So all of these should have resource extraction sites in, or mining areas basically. And where there's miners, there's pirates. So quite a distance away there, look, 2,400 light seconds. So it's going to take a few moments to get there. I'll put a little cut in here just to save you the aggro of watching all that. So as we're approaching the planet here, just like with approaching the stations, we need to remember to start slowing down there. Make sure your indicators just on the start there, on the start area of where it changes colour. So there's Kremin 2. I'll slow down a little bit more here just so I can have a look at the locations list over here. And here you can see a resource extraction site. There's also a low intensity extraction site. They are a little bit easier, so you can always go to them if you're a little bit unsure. And here is a high intensity extraction site. Those ones are a bit harder. And the most hardest ones of all actually aren't here in this location. Those are hazardous extraction sites. Hazardous ones don't have any local police or anything like that. So what we're going to do, I'm just going to go to the regular resource extraction site. And here on the little indicator on the left there beside the radar, you can see the location of it. Orientate my ship toward it. You can see where it is. It's actually down there by the planet, actually inside the rings themselves. So as I approach it, remember, don't approach too fast. Try not to keep your indicator there, your speed indicator, too much above the area where it just first starts changing colour. Please excuse the squeaking of my joystick there. I think I need to grease it or oil it. You can probably hear it in the background there. So as we approach this, what we're going to need to do, just like as when we get near stations, we need to drop out of Supercruise once we get within 1,000 megameters. bit of a slow going here because as you get near to planetary bodies, your speed slows down quite dramatically. The gravity actually causes your ship to slow down, so it's difficult to accelerate up to too high speeds. So there we go, getting quite close now. Be careful not to bash into the rings though, because you will be pulled out with warp, and if you're going too fast you'll take damage also. So just approaching here, 1000 megameters, nearly there, and we just need to press the Supercruise key to come out of warp. Any moment now, and there we go. We'll now find ourselves inside the ring system, which is full of billions of asteroids. You can see them there, all going off into the distance. And what we should see any moment now is ships arriving here, or our scanner should start picking up ships that are already here. Now on the odd occasion you'll come into one of these zones and you'll find that no NPC ships spawn. If that does happen, just log out and log back in again. Log back to the main menu and come back in again. It's rare that it does glitch, but on occasion it does. Other times, just if they don't appear straight away, just wait around for a while and they will appear after 30 seconds or so. There you can see that actually there's a battle already ongoing. So we're going to go over to that one and get ourselves involved in it. An Imperial Eagle. And they are wanted now. This is where you've got to be careful. They are in a wing. Who's he in a wing with is a question. Because if you attack one ship in a wing, the other ones will also attack you. So looks like those two ships are in the wing. They're attacking the Federal Security Force. The Federal Security Force are perhaps attacking them. But either way, which one do we attack first is a question. Usually it's better, if you're in a ship like this, it's best to attack the ship that's the weaker one first. And the Imperial Eagle's almost lost his shields there as he's been attacked by the security forces. So I'm going to deploy my lasers now, and you can see the gimbaled lasers are actually attacking that ship now. Even though he's not central to me, they'll aim toward him. Again, remember to keep an eye on your pips, on your capacitor recharge rate. So that's the Eagle gone. Now we want to take on the Asp. Now if you're really into combat, I'm not that brilliant at combat, but generally you want to try and keep behind your target. Generally speaking, its weapons can only fire forward, so the more behind it you are, the more outside of its arc of fire you actually are, and that means you're going to get hit less. Now you can see I can fire for a lot longer here than I could previously, basically because of the power distributor I brought. Now I could split up here and let the power distributor recharge and then start shooting again, but my power distributor is that good that I can pretty much keep firing. And there we go, another ship gone. So let's have a look here. Here we've got transactions tab, and that shows us the amount of bounty we've already earned. I've got 400 credit bounty in Cremain. That's because they were wanted by the Cremain authorities, and I've got 48,000 credits bounty by the Federation because they were wanted by the Federation. Now, as I mentioned earlier, you can also go over to the high intensity extraction sites. These are a bit more dangerous, they've got larger ships here and they're a bit more aggressive. This is a Fer-de-Lance, one of the more superior fighting ships. It's actually attacking an Asp out there, but the Fer-de-Lance is wanted, so even though I'm in a Sidewinder here, very lowly ship, I'm going to try and take it on anyway. Now this is by no means a guarantee of success, but seeing as he's concentrating on the Asp and the Asp has already damaged him somewhat, I'm going to give it a shot. Now pay attention to the enemy's rank. You can see just below his name he's got a rank there of Master. That's not particularly high, the top rank is Elite, then below that is Deadly, and below that is Dangerous. Those are the top three that you're likely to find in hazardous extraction sites, the most dangerous of them. Here this guy is just a Master, and I've got his shields down pretty quickly. Now these pulse lasers are not going to do a huge amount of damage to his hull. You really want a kinetic weapon to do hull damage. Pulse weapons like this one take a huge penalty and they will damage him fairly slowly, but I think he's also being hit by the Asp still at the moment, and if I just wait for my weapons to recharge I can take another pounding at him again. But what we're concerned about is if he turns around and turns his fire on us, he will be able to strip our shields very quickly, as he's got some extremely powerful weapons. But for now, he seems to still be focusing on the Asp, and that's the main thing for us. That's the main benefit we've got. Now, up on the top there, you can see another ship coming in. That is probably the security forces now attacking him, and so he's going to really take a lot of damage quite fast. So it really depends on your chances, how things go when you're inside an extraction site. Sometimes you'll attack a ship like this and they turn around on you and annihilate you. Attacking a ship like this, rather, in a Sidewinder, isn't highly recommended. But sometimes you can get away with it. See, look, now he's turned his fire on us. We've already lost a single ring of our shields. I've deployed a chaff there, trying to disrupt his fire. But if we had a shield cell bank here, I could deploy one of them and recharge the shields. Now, I won't recommend to come into a high intensity zone and attacking larger ships unless you find that you're naturally pretty good at the combat. But if you do it, make sure you've got a shield cell bank of the best. I do have a shield booster here, which makes my shields a little bit stronger, but I can't recharge them whilst in a fight. Now, of course, naturally the shields do recharge on their own over time. You do need some energy in the systems distributor to do that. I haven't actually got any in there at the moment. I'm just concentrating on trying to destroy him. And there he goes, 157,000 credits for a single target. Well worth the risk of trying to annihilate him. So now it's time to move on back to the station and claim the bounty vouchers. 30 to 60 minutes in a zone like this should be more than enough to give you enough credits to be getting on with. Now, do keep in mind that although this tutorial, this guide, is heavily combat focused, it by no means is an endorsement of just maintaining a combat style. I'm not favourable towards combat. It's not my favourite activity. But when I start a new save, it's always the way I actually start out, because it's one of the quickest ways of getting the money needed to go into your chosen playstyle. So let's head back to the station. So here we are then at the station where we can hand in our bounty vouchers, and we're going to do refueling and reloading first. I'm just down to 2,500 credits, you can see there. Go to the contacts yet again, and we can redeem all 434,000 of our bounties. There we go, nearly 500,000. And if we look on the menu over to here, we can see on the right panel it tells us our reputation. We can also see system states, our finance, as well as statistics, and we can see our current assets of 476,000. That's how much we're worth, including our balance in our wallet, as well as the value of our ships and what's fitted on it as well. So that's enough money if we want to buy a new ship. I've got the Sidewinder. We could buy an Eagle. An Eagle's a nice combat ship. I've used one of them for a long time. We could buy a hauler. Now, a hauler is if you want to get into trading. I'll make another video of that in a while to show you what that's all about. But you can buy a hauler that has a decent sized cargo bay you can upgrade with. We can buy an adder, which is similar to a hauler but better still, as you can carry even more cargo. A Viper is a nice combat ship. Or we could probably just about reach to a Cobra Mark III here, but that wouldn't leave us much money left over, and I'd recommend against that unless you've got probably around 1,000,000 credits or so. Alternatively, what we can do is just simply go to the outfitting screen and improve the quality of our Sidewinder here. We'd actually fit it to some very good modules to it by now. So it's all about preference, all about what you want to do with the game, what you want to do with your ship, how you want to spend your time. As you saw, we did quite good in the Sidewinder, so I'm inclined to sort of stay in this ship for a while longer and see how we can do, although you could upgrade to the Eagle or the Viper if you want to. But what we do want is, I'm going to get rid of the cargo rack here now, and I'm going to buy a shield cell bank, because what these do, they allow us to, we go for a size 2, class 2, and a B rated one. They allow us to recharge our shield when it's getting down, and we can also upgrade our shield. We can go for a nice A rated shield there, look. But the problem is, we can see that our deployed energy requirements are now 7.97 megawatts, so we're going to need to upgrade our power plant. We can go for a B rated one, that just about covers it, or an A rated one if you really want to. It's not essential at this point, but that's what I'm going to go for at any rate. And we can see it's really eating into our cash now. I'm going to go for better thrusters as well, because they will give us greater manoeuvrability. I can't afford A-rated ones, but at this moment they're not essential. I'm just going to go for some C-rated ones at the moment, because I want to upgrade the life support. Life support is how much oxygen you have if your canopy is breached. Oh, we can't buy them here because the station doesn't have any equipment available, but you can see that, oh, we can't actually see that here, but basically the amount of oxygen you have left over if your canopy is breached, the glass shatters at the front of your ship and you go on to life support oxygen. You get about 5 minutes by default. If you upgrade that, you can prolong how long you actually have, and sensors increase the range you have, but again there's nothing here at this station for that. So that pretty much leaves us 76,000 credits available, and we've got a slightly better ship now. So that would be enough to go out and get a bit more from the combat if we want to do that. Alternatively, at this point you could instead, the rebuy cost there is 20,000, you can see, so we need to make sure our balance is above that. As I was saying, alternatively we could buy a hauler now or a adder and just go on to doing some trading. I'll make another video on trading. As we can see here, we can buy, the basic premise is you buy low and sell high. So we'd buy low at one of these systems, maybe something that this system is selling. You can see here that this system we can buy explosives from at 222 credits, and we can sell it at the galactic average of 378. We'd need to find what systems we can sell that at. But generally speaking, combat is the best way to make money very early on, but as you saw in the video, you can also do it with exploration, and you can also do it with some of these bulletin board missions. But all in all, that's the way to get started in Elite Dangerous. Do check back on my YouTube channel, because I'll be making more getting started videos over the next few days. Some will cover exploration, I'll cover trading, as well as mining and missions. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys and girls next time. Hi guys and girls, I'm Obsidian Ant and welcome to Path to Pleiades. We are now in stage 2 of the community goal to get a station inside the Pleiades Nebula. This stage features 2 individual community goals. One is combat orientated, the other is mining orientated. Before we get to the combat, I'll be heading out that way a little bit later. We are going to have a look at some of the mining here. Now, I've found a pristine metallic ring system